Hello, all you brandy brain surgeons. Welcome to a little bit of a French brandy head-to-head. We're going to do Cognac versus Armagnac. You see, the thing is, if you pay attention to the internet, you will see a lot of people declaring that Armagnac is clearly the superior sort of Southwest French brandy. These are people who were previously drinking bourbon as of 2 or 3 years ago, but now they've decided that, well, cognac has been ruined by gigantic corporations and watering down and lots of sugar and woody water and stuff like that. And Armagnac is very traditional. It's the older region, so it's much better. There is a small but growing minority of people pushing back against that a little bit, saying, no, wait. Cognac has its own very long, proud tradition of distilling. They still legally have to use traditional pot stills, basically, but these alembic stills that they have, double distillation. In Armagnac, you mostly get sort of shorter style cognac column stills. Oh, sorry. So you're getting, and they don't. In cognac they don't use as much active oak, so we can grant that it's been ruined by gigantic corporations. But if you look in the corners, there's a lot of interesting, good things going on in Armagnac. So let's decide the question to the extent we can decide the question in a stupid little internet video like this, by sampling some opposing bottles. So, what have we got here? I've got basically two pairs. I have got two bottles from producers I've had previously. These are basically older versions of the same. Bottled at lower proof, at 42% to be exact. And then I have got younger bottlings, bottled at cask strength, i.e. at higher proof. So we will walk through these, try them neat, add a little water, go back and try them again. And may the best spirit win. This Cobra Fire has a glass top. I've been told that I should like these better than corks. I still don't. But anyways, just a note there, because it threw me off a little bit. All right, so let's go through these. What do we got? We have got a Jean Fillioux. I flipped for their Le Pouillade in a previous cognac video. I will link that up below. I really, really love the La Pouillade. It's just terrific. It's a little bit stronger than you get in traditional, big brand cognacs, but and it just brings a freshness, a fruitiness, a deliciousness that I adore. I'm also bringing in a much older bottle of Pomès-Pébérère from the Ténarèze region in Armagnac. So not Baz Armagnac, which is the big famous one. This is horse riding territory. This is 1966, which is the oldest bottle I've ever done on this channel. I've also got another Grosperrin. Grosperrin being a big negociant in Cognac, a little bit in Armagnac, but mainly Cognac. This is all from the Borderies. And we've got Cobra Fire Evil Force, which is not labeled in Armagnac, but it is. This is a project from the PM Spirits folks. And we'll talk about why this is weird in a little bit. But let's go through these, and I'm enjoying the aromas as is. Let's go through these and give them a little review. Okay, so we're starting off with the Jean Fillioux. This is all Grande Champagne, which is the region kind of right in the middle of the cognac growing region, arguably the most famous. It's marked as Premier Cru, but there really aren't any non-Premier Crus growing regions in Grande Champagne, so it's a little redundant. This is a single cask selection. It is 504 bottles. This was a pick by Maurice Van Wees, who I think is the same Van Wees as you see in malt whiskey a lot. This was bottled on February 2021. And it is cask number 83. Now, that is interesting. Here's the thing about cognac and vintage releases. It is extremely difficult. It's a gigantic pain in the butt, actually, to do a formal vintage release in cognac. So what you will see producers do a lot of the time is sort of make strong hints as to the vintage something was distilled in. So this is marked as cask number 83, which suggests a 1983 vintage. The other side of this is if you've got a producer who's a little bit, weaselly, they can use that as a way to fake the suggestion that it is from a particular vintage, even when it really isn't. Technically speaking, this is non-age stated, but I think the Fillioux folks are hinting that this is all 1983. And having tried it before, I would totally buy this as a 1983 vintage cognac. So let's try this thing out. Again, single cask, bottled at 42%, which is higher than normal in cognac. I wish it was higher still, but I'll take what I can get. Lot number 830421, if you're checking. On the nose. Oh, that's a nice nose. So it's spicy, peppery fruitcake is what I'm getting right up front. So take a fruitcake and just dump a whole lot of like cinnamon on top of it and some black pepper. Yeah, lots of cinnamon, some like French roast coffee. One of the coffee grinds, like fresh French roast coffee grinds. Black pepper, lots of black pepper. Lots of dried fruit as well. So like dried cherries, prunes, figs, some dates as well. A little bit of a musty library smell. So if when Belle and the Beast walked into the library for the first time in the original movie, not the remake. I don't like the remake. I imagine this is kind of what it smelled like. But then once you get past those more, woody notes, there's like this beautiful, almost like a fresh orange thing, some nectarine. There's a ton of fruitiness in this. A couple of fresh flowers in there. There's some golden raisins if you give this a little bit more time. Apricot. The wood it's definitely there, which you would expect from something that is apparently suggestively, is that an adverb? Suggestively almost 40 years old, but it's not dominating. It's really sort of, the fruit is standing up to meet with the oak, and that's kind of just how an old cognac should smell, in my judgment. On the palate, oh, that's nice. So it's just, oh my God, the finish just goes and goes and goes. So it's fruity and it's woody and this perfect balance. Prunes, nectarines, orange, dried cherry, figs. There's some what is that? Like almost like a berry juice kind of thing. Like you just kind of pick some berries off a tree or a bush and you kind of crush them down and you drank the juice. That's kind of what I'm getting. But then also black pepper, overstewed tea. What kind of tea? Like a little bit aromatic. Some overstewed Darjeeling, let's say. There's a little bit of a cough syrup thing in here, like a little bit of Robitussin. A little bit of espresso too. This is not like traditional dark roast espresso. This is like, you've gone to a hip place in I don't know, like the East Village, and they pulled you a shot from some crazy African thing, and it's got like these kind of fruity sour notes, that kind of espresso. The finish is dry and long, but what is that? And it's got the tannins, it's got the fruitiness, but there's like a floral note in there too, but it's musty too. It's like okay, take a bunch of flowers, but then take them up into like a musty attic. That's the kind of taste I'm getting on the finish. It's really nice. This is terrific. I'm gonna give this a couple drops of water. Not too much, not a full squirt, but a couple drops. And we'll come back to it in a minute. Like 3-4 drops of water. Yeah. Old cognac from independent producers can just be terrific. But maybe Armagnac can do the same thing, right? So let's talk about the Pomès-Pébérère, which I can never pronounce correctly. This is a 1966. Bottled, I have a hard time reading the handwriting there. Maybe you can do better. I'm just going to put it up there. See that? Kind of on the bottom there. I think this says 12/14/2020. So December 14th, 2020. Indicates sometime in 2020. But which would make this what, a 56 something like that year old brandy. So pretty dang old. Wait, am I doing the math right? Sorry, 54 years old. At least. All right. Bottled at 42%. According to the website, their current vineyard makeup is about 50% Ugni Blanc, 40% Colombard, 10% unstated. I don't know if that's what's making up this, but I figure it probably hasn't changed that much. All right, let's get into this. Again, from the Ténarèze region, which is not the sort of big famous region for Armagnac brandy, but definitely overlooked, definitely deserves your attention. On the nose. Okay, so what I'm getting initially is just a kind of woody campfire explosion. On the original Pébérère that I tried, the 10-year-old, I found it already to be a little bit too not too oaky, but just very oaky for my taste. So immediately I'm a little bit scared that this 66 might be pushing things in the oak department a little bit. Lots of wood, lots of just like burned, foresty stuff. But then, especially if you give this a little more time than I'm probably giving it right now, you get some coffee cake. So lots of cinnamon, kind of desserty notes, but also Dr. Pepper, but nice. And then obviously some black pepper and just like stacks and stacks and stacks of like old Victorian furniture. So you like to attack the set of a period drama of like a Jane Austen movie, and you stole all the furniture and you put it all together in a big pile. That's kind of what I'm smelling. And a little bit of like a banana flambé note as well. It's like burned toasted banana dessert is what oddly enough. It smells old. Let's leave it at that. It smells really old and woody, but has like a charming desserty note to it as well. On the palate. Ooh. That has a hell of a lot of wood on it. That's a lot of wood. A ton of wood. But if you look beyond the wood, there is a beautiful kind of sour cherry thing going on with this that I really like to kind of balance all that out. So it's really your kind of, hold on, let me try this again. This has grown on me a lot, actually. Once I sort of got the trick of just like saying, okay, ignore the wood, look through the cracks in the wood, what else is there? I really started to get into it. So we're definitely getting the wood, the campfire ash, the coffee grinds, like the old soggy tea leaves, like old English breakfast tea leaves or something like that. But then, yeah, you get that sour cherry note, dried cherry as well. So fresh and dry cherry, kind of like a musty cellar sort of note, like musty old furniture as well. But then there's some prunes, A little hint of like, oh, what is that? Almost like a lime zest sort of thing, or even like a lime candy kind of note. Which is, and sort of noticing those other notes has really brought me around on this. There's life in the old girl yet, which is what you want in spirits that are this old. You want them to be able to kind of show little hints of what the distillate was. Kind of, you don't want this to be oak juice, right? And this isn't. Despite the fact that it's from an oaky styled producer, despite the fact that this has spent 50 plus years in a barrel, the oak isn't overwhelming it. So big kudos for that. I have to confess at this point the Fillioux is more my speed, but this Pébérère is, especially if you're looking for something old, is still very charming and very drinkable. All right, moving on though. We'll come back to that in a second. Grosperrin. I've had a couple of Grosperrins before. I had, what did I have? I had an Armagnac, which was excellent, and a, was it a Framboise Cognac, which I think was whatever. I will link all this previous data down below. This is Borderies, however, which is the region right outside of the city of Cognac itself, and it's quickly kind of becoming my favorite little pet region in Cognac because it's very aromatic. It's very, very floral. It doesn't maybe age quite as well as Petit Cognac, Grand Cognac, those guys, but the floral nature of the stuff just makes it really, really fun to drink. So this is all from the Borderies, 12 years old, lot number 700, 338 liters worth. I don't know exactly when this was bottled, say around in 2019, 2020, somewhere in there. But it was bottled at 50.8%, which is surprisingly low for a relatively young cognac. I would have thought, this would be pushing 60%, because that's, what the kind of barrel entry strength that I've seen. And this isn't that old. So I decided to put the Armagnacs, the quasi-Armagnac second because it's a little bit higher strength. But let's get into this Grosperrin Borderies. On the nose, it's very, very floral. Hugely floral. And fruity, too. Not as fruity as it is floral, but fruity. I'm getting some, like a curacao orange note. A little grapefruit, too, actually. But it's all just buried in a pile of fresh flowers. Just tons and tons of flowers on this. And a little bit of sort of spices and herbs, too. There's some cardamom. There's some rosemary as well. A little bit of like a bell pepper note, almost a red bell pepper note. And a tea note as well. So tea kind of coming out in a lot of these brandies so far. In this case, it's more Darjeeling oriented. Little teeny tiny, almost like Chardonnay hints, like old aged Chardonnay. Not like a Pellini or something. This is more a Saint-Aubin. It's more subtle than that. Now there's some dried fruit coming through from the oak, some dates, a little raisin. Not special raisin, this is just the sun-kissed kind of stuff. It's delightful. It's you can tell this is much younger and fresher than the previous two. On the palate, okay, so that's interesting. So very peppery with a long finish. I mean, the finish kind of just holds and holds and holds. It's like this peppery floral thing. But it's actually shorter in the mouth than I expected. It doesn't. It kind of like stops pretty short, like right at my molars, which is a hair bit disappointing for something sort of made at this level. Nothing really wrong with it beyond that. So I'm getting some Darjeeling tea again. Lots of flowers. Tons of flowers. Just covering me in flowers. Yeah, flowers, pepper, tea. That Curacao orange thing, really more like a bunch of different oranges. There's some Curacao, but also blood orange in there. Cardamom, again, lots of cardamom. Almost like like a cilantro note, believe it or not. Rosemary, thyme, and yeah, just all the flowers. Like I feel like I'm chewing on flowers right now, and I'm really enjoying it. Like the stems as much as the petals. Little, ooh, little touch of like apple eau de vie, like unaged apple brandy. Some dried cherry, prune. That's kind of it. And the weird thing I'm trying to get my head around is the way that this finishes, or not the way it finishes, but just the way that it attacks the mouth. It's very, very front forward, which I'm used to that in younger cognacs, like 4-year-olds, but not so much from a 12-year-old. So that's a little bit weird. Let's give this a little bit of water, and we'll come back to it. 1 squirt. I'm going to go like 1.5 squirts to see how that works. Yeah, that feels about right. All right, last up in this lineup, before we go back through them again, is the Cobra Fire. This is a cask strength brandy. They are aging it, mentioning. Distilled from 100% full blanche grapes. So you might say, what is a mere brandy doing in this lineup? Well, it's basically declassified Armagnac. Why would you declassify your Armagnac? I'm not really sure, but the PM Spirits folks did do before an eau de vie of grape, which they called Cobra Fire. So, and you might ask, why is it not just sold as an Armagnac Blanche, a white Armagnac? For various legal reasons, I think it was bottled too strong or something like that. But in any case, they declassified it in order to sell what they wanted to present. With this little sequel, which is aged, they could very well sell it as a aged Armagnac, and they just haven't because. I don't know, because they're weird. I think that's the ultimate answer. They're just weird. So this is all from Domaine d'Espérance. I've tried their stuff before, particularly the another PM Spirits project, the VSOP Armagnac, which I think was the first Armagnac I reviewed. This is a blend of 4 casks. There's a little bit of an older cask in here, a 2001 cask. But most of it is from 3 younger casks. So distilled in 2012, 2014, and 2015. All column distilled. There's lots of data on this, but bottled in March 2021. So presumably, if you were to age state this, it would be 5 to 6 years old. But again, there is also a lot of older stock in here. So. A very strange product, but a very fun product as well. This is casks 1, 240, 123, and 4. All full blanche again, which is the OG, the daddy of Armagnac grapes, also Cognac grapes, but mainly Armagnac these days. On the nose, I am getting just raisin heaven. Is my first note. So like raisin syrup, like if you somehow made a syrup out of like the best raisins ever, that's kind of what this will smell like. But you're gonna blend it up with some English breakfast tea, to which you've added milk and sugar, because that's how you roll. But then there's a little bit of a dusty note, like an old library dust kind of note. It's not particularly oaky, this, but it's more. I mean, you can tell it's young, but the exuberance in this is really charming. There's some orchard smells going on. I feel like I'm smelling some like apple trees with like young unripe apples on them. Some flowers, again, not anywhere near the level of floral action going on as with the previous one, but lots of flowers. Some orange zest. A little vanilla, too, which is unexpected. I don't usually get vanilla in these Southwest French brandies, but here it is. A lot of like leaves, like dried kind of autumn leaves. And some tobacco notes, like burley flake tobacco is what I'm mainly getting. It's nice. Young, but really kind of charming and lovable on the palate. All right. At this moment, as I taste this, this actually has more presence and more authority in my mouth than the 12-year-old, the Grosperrin. So we're getting, again, lots and lots of like raisin syrup. So like raisin syrup from heaven, breakfast tea, some orange essence. Not really like actual oranges, just more like, like orange essence. Figs, white pepper, that kind of, what is that? Like I'm sure the PM Spirits folks will not be happy with me saying this, but there's almost like a Heaven Hill bourbony note, like old Heaven Hill. Kind of a woody, nutty, dried leafy thing, which puts me in that mindset. It's just a really nice young brandy, and that's fine. I mean, that's great. I wish there was more stuff like this on the American market. Yeah, not a hugely, deeply dense and complex old spirit by no means, but I'm really enjoying this. Except for the glass topper, I'm still a little skeptical of that. But to each their own. I'm glad that it's a little different. It's fun. That different things that are different are fun. Okay, so there's some water added to that. All right, let's go back through. Taste these one more time. See what a little bit of water added to them does. Brings them up, brings them down, does nothing. Let's see. All right, returning to the Fillioux, the 83. Actually becomes more spicy and floral. And a little bit more orangey too. This is kind of bringing out the orange as well. But otherwise pretty similar, which is kind of what I expect from, adding water to spirits already bottled at 40%. It just usually doesn't do much. Sometimes it does, but not very often. It's still a terrific, lovely nose, though. I'm really, really charmed by this stuff. On the palate. Okay. Oh god, that's a great finish. Becomes spicier with water. The pepper comes out. It's not even like a black pepper note. It's almost like a dry, like a jalapeno note. Oh, that's good. At at full blown cast strength, this would be a monster. This would be flirting with the 90s. It also brings out the flowers a little bit more. Still not as much as the Grosperrin, but there's some flowers here. Yeah, terrific, terrific, wonderful cognac. I would give this an 88 out of 100. The only problem is, again, is the presentation, the bottling strength. And also, given the score, the fact that the little La Pouillade, little $60 bottle sucker that you can buy, anywhere what is it, Beautiful Spirits, Lovely Spirit, whatever that distributor is, importer, I mean. That's the La Pouillade is kind of right there, and it's less expensive. And in a way, I might actually kind of prefer the freshness on that, even though I think objectively this is a hair bit better. Still a wonderful, characterful old spirit. Beautifully balanced. 88 points out of 100 for this little Jean Fillioux Cask 83. Really nice stuff. Moving on to the Pomès-Pébérère. Did I get that right? 1966 with water now. Wait, let me cleanse my palate. Gotta be fair. Almost knocked off my Cobra Fire there. On the nose. Interesting. This brings out the water brings out the fruity notes a little bit more. It's bringing out some like Virginia flake tobacco kinds of notes. Some full Virginia flake for those of you that are Sam Govith fans, and some cherry. I mean, the campfire stuff, the woody stuff, the pepper, those are still there, but this is really bringing out the distillate a little bit more, which is coming out in the form of tobacco and like those cherry stuff. In a way, I know this is going to sound silly, but it reminds me a little bit of that the Long Pond I reviewed a little while ago, last year. Like the Tech, the TECC, the 2007. And it has that kind of like sour, I mean, it's nowhere near as intense, right? But it has that same kind of like sour cherry nose that I just love. Or not even cherry, like just like cherry, but also other mixed berries thing. Much improved with water, at least on the nose. On the palate, on the palate, this actually fades a little bit with water. Comes a little bit ashy and a little bit too tannic and bitter on the close. Not to say I dislike dry tannic finishes, but this is so much so it's actually starting to cover up a little bit of what else is there. Yeah, this is right past that line. Just a little ways past that line for me. It's got the sours. It's got that kind of like cherry mixed berry sourness to it that I love, but the oak is just a little bit too much. Just a little bit too much. I still kind of really like this anyhow. I'm going to give this, what am I going to give this? I'm going to give this an 86 minus out of 100. I mean, if you're going to drop a fair bit of money, not a whole lot of money, because these are still surprisingly cheap for what they are. If you're going to drop some money on a 1966, you could do a hell of a lot worse. A hell of a lot worse than this little guy. I'm giving it the minus because the woody finish with water is just a little bit too much. But still, 86 minus. Not bad. Pretty solid. All right, moving on back to the Grosperrin, the Borderies 12-year-old with some water now. Interesting. So it's still very floral, but there's what is that? There's a stone fruity note coming out now, almost a little bit of a peach thing. This is a great little nose. Yeah, it smells a little bit like yeah, the orangey stuff is still there, but it's almost like now you've dumped your flowers on top of some peach cobbler too, which is nice on the palate. Oh, okay. Normally I would consider it optional to add water to a spirit, but in this case, I would say the water improves this enough that you should really consider adding water to this. Seriously consider adding water to this Grosperrin if you have it. What it does is it vastly improves the mouthfeel. This is now providing a weight and an authority in my mouth which was not there when it was neat. That's the doorbell. But basically, what I'm getting here is like a floral, orangey peach cobbler kind of thing. It's a little bit more kind of dusty, ashy, peppery as well. But really, it's the mouthfeel is just so much better with a little bit of water in this. So much so that I'm going to give this a little bit of a higher score because of that. I'm going to give this 86 plus out of 100. Well done, Grosperrin. It's not, is the best cognac I've ever had ever. No, it's actually I think ultimately I kind of like the Fillioux better, but I am so charmed by the fruity floral nature of this, especially with water. Moving on though. I apologize for the doorbell. We shoot this live. We do no edits. We just do it in the water, and we have our lives to live. Sometimes people are dropping off packages. And last off, the Cobra Fire Evil Force, cast strength brandy, not Armagnac, just brandy for whatever reason, but basically Armagnac still. Now with water. Ooh, okay. What is that? So the water brings out some kind of dusty floral notes and some fruity notes which I'm struggling to identify right now. It's not stone fruit. It's almost like a plummy note, like Mirabelle plum. That's it. Mirabelle plum and flowers. And dust. It still feels young and fresh, which it should, but yeah, this is developed nicely on the nose with a little bit of water. Maybe not quite as much as the Grosperrin, but still. Okay. The water brings out the oak a little bit more. A lot more, actually. Which is fine. I mean, this is a young spirit. I don't mind the oak showing up in it. It's not really the distillate and the oak aren't really integrating in a way that's sort of producing the tertiary notes you expect to see in a long aged spirit. But it's nice to have the notes from the distillate and the oak there, kind of playing off each other. A bit fresher. Fresher, a little bit more sour too. There's a little bit more of that kind of sour fruity note coming through. Yeah, I like this. What about a similar kind of score? I would give this an 86 even. Let's say an 86 even. I like this. This is really fun to sip. You could also use this to just anchor tons and tons of cocktails. Like just, break out. I don't know, what is your favorite mixer? For your vermouths, your orange liqueurs. Have fun. Make all the cocktails with this. It's not obscenely expensive. It's relatively well available in the U.S., so this is one you can have some fun with. I like it. 86 points out of 100. So, weirdly enough, and according to the internet, it shouldn't be happening. Cognac is kind of winning here a little bit. Not to say that the Armagnacs are bad; they're not. They're terrific. But these little the Borderies from Grosperrin, despite the problems I had with it neat, and this Fillioux, despite the bottling strength, which is a little bit annoying, they're kind of pulling ahead for me. So it's just to say, even though your local bourbon group is now interested in Armagnac picks, and you know, everything coming out of the Encantada stable, don't give up on Cognac yet. Especially if you're interested in more distillate-driven drams, don't give up on Cognac yet. There's lots to be said for the region, and I think it deserves your attention. And that's about all I got. So we got an 88? I'm sorry. 88 for the Fillioux. 86 plus for the Pébérère, 66. 86 minus for the Pébérère, 66. 86 plus for the Grosperrin Borderies. And Cobra Fire gets an even 86. Brandy. French brandy. It's good stuff. I don't know. I never know how to land these planes. Thanks for watching, and cheers.